So what we're talking about here today has nothing to do with any kind of understanding or nothing to do with knowledge or knowing or having or um, it's not about sentences like that there is no self or that this is nothing appearing to happen or there's just what is. It's this what we're talking about there is the immediacy the immediacy of hearing, and what we're talking about is breathing, um sitting, feeling sensations in the body. And it seems like when a description like that is appearing, that this then can be known as those words being used. And the mystery is really even a mystery about what mystery is. Not not one word here will be spoken as if then to impart some piece of information. And that's kind of the dilemma, really, or the dilemma in a way is that here, this meeting, that there's nothing being explained or nothing being imparted or nothing known. And the dilemma can be wanting to know that. And it seems to be that really what appears to happen then is a constant return just to the immediacy and the inescapable intimacy of whatever is, however that is. So then if feeling like a separate person and apart from the world, and that's what's real, then okay, well, that would be then what's being felt and described. If also the sensation, feeling perhaps that words like that are not used, feeling like a separate person are not, they're not words that are used, and that's not how it's felt, then that also would be what is. And there's nothing special, nothing, no hierarchy, no authority, no echelon, no path to simply sitting and breathing and wondering and also perhaps seeking. I mean, to hear that what is sought is seeking is, well, it's awful, really. But in essence, there can just be seeking. No one's seeking. There can just be what's appearing to happen, and however that is. And really also, the mystery doesn't have some parts that are known and some parts that are not known. The suggestion is that everything is a mystery, but it's not further from here. It's not something that has to be done or learned or gained or even an idea of what lost might be. It's simply suggesting that this is the mystery. Hearing sounds, and that can really, there is nothing to say or volunteer. What's been described here is a bit of a story, really. And because not one word gets closer or further away. It's a sort of a stunningly beautiful, futile, purposeless gathering. It's not like there is a purpose here to want to, for a self to fall away. There isn't a self that can fall away. But perhaps what can fall away is an image of what falling away can, an image of falling away. And what can happen here is perhaps when it's clearly felt that nothing is being offered continuously, that perhaps the seeking can be exposed for just being that, just seeking, no one's seeking. And really that is kind of, you know, that's the premise in a way. The premise really is the other premise, I suppose, is highlighting this this idea of self and this image and held feeling of self. And it's not even doing that really, it's saying there's no self already, so no one will recognize that there's no one, that already there's no one. And then what's left is whatever appears to happen. So let's see what happens. If there's anything there to be said, then it's there to be said. So just jump on in and click the unmute button and just go for it. Anything at all that's there to be asked, it's there to be asked. And yeah, it doesn't have to be questions either. Doesn't have to be anything at all. So this is free to be exactly how it will be. So let's see what happens. I was visiting my parents this morning, so could not attend the morning session. But did that not really happen? Beyond the story, this is nothing happening. And saying this is nothing happening won't be known either as that.
Hi, Frank.
Hiya.
Yeah, I followed your series of interviewing all these communicators, you know, over a period of time. In your case, I mean, did that apparent thing of falling away just happen gradually or suddenly as you were going through all that?
So you see, really all that can be said is that there's just what is, right? And that's as much as it can be said. So then in that, seeking appeared to happen. There was what is the seeking, asking questions, making podcasts, doing whatever documentaries. And then there seems to be somehow what is as then talking and sharing and responding about, well, about what is, or just responding. But the idea of falling away is just another lovely kind of story to hold on to, that there's somebody that can fall away. That's another story. And then that's held to be real. Oh, well, there must be something that can fall away then, Frank. That's another story.
There'd
have to be somebody there that could fall away.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but there, I don't know how to word this, but there must have been.
Word it whatever way. Go on, yeah.
I mean, there must have been, there is a change, right, from previous to now.
You see, isn't that's the story? Like, I mean, you could say nothing changes or everything constantly changes. It's always like, it's just clinging to an image of something happening. However subtle, it can't be this. Please don't say that it can't be asking the question, Frank. It can't be asking this question. Well, there's just asking that question. That's all. And there's just hoping that there is, you know, a falling away or something to gain that's better. Something. Has to be something that you can report back and tell us, Frank. No, nothing happens. And you could say, if you wanted to tell a story, that almost glimpses and peak experiences give the impression that that's what this is, and ordinary sitting on a chair is not what is. It's not the right what is. There needs to be a different one. And perhaps all of those images sought can fall away, and seeking then can just come to a stop, just stops. But there was no one seeking. So there's no one in there now wondering, asking that question, curiosity or whatever. But you could say then also, you could say, if you wanted to tell a story, that the door was blown off the hinges 20 years ago. You know, you could say that 20 years ago, that it was just suddenly this. And you could tell a story like that, but it's constantly and totally just what's appearing to happen. And it won't be anyone's gain. There isn't anyone. But the image of this idea of falling away, of loss of self, being real things that can happen and can then be knowable, perhaps they can fall away. It's what we're talking about is inescapably, intimately, fully, whatever is.
Right, but the point, I get what you're saying, but isn't there an apparent change in the story?
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And then you could say nothing happening is the gift that can't be given or shared, can't be owned, known, or whatever, but it's constantly, this is nothing happening now. This is what you're looking for. This, asking that question there. Really, that's what you're looking for, is this, but you can't find this. There is just this, not you and this. There's just this, just asking that question, including every then sensation, every movement, every thought, everything just happening.
Yeah, but I think there's still an apparent change in the story from me seeking something to something recognizing there's nobody there.
So nobody recognizes that there's nobody there.
Yeah, because when that happened, there is nobody.
There is already no one. There's just now perhaps lost in the image of what no one would be like. So then it's fully as lost in an image of that. But already there's no one imagining what it would be like to be no one, hoping for a change. There's just that happening, fully as that then. But you see that what really is what's happening is trying to find one thing and that's real to hold on to. So then when presented with nothing, really nothing, not, you know, a no self, no self that has nothing and can share it, this is nothing talking now, and nothing hearing, or nothing as hearing, nothing as talking, or no words whatsoever. Because not a word gets close to this. And that doesn't make it complicated, awkward, hard to understand, easy to understand, just fully as hearing. And it won't then be understood and known. So no one knows that there is no self. There's just no self. But
Well,
already
yeah.
there's no self, already.
Mm. But there is a feeling that there is a self.
Okay, but then if that's what's being described and felt to be the real there, that there is a feeling of being a self, then that's what's being described and felt to be real. But it won't, you know, it's not seen here. It's not like that can be validated by the inspector of spotting selves. Who can validate whether there's a self or not a self? And it'll be the same way if they're suddenly saying, oh, there's now no self. All right, okay. It absolutely makes no difference whatsoever. And yet all there is then is just the hoping that there is a difference. And really then it's basically, it simply cannot be asking this question, Frank. It can't be this. But you're not asking the question. There's just asking the question. Including then, but I am asking the question. That's also just what is. And there's no comfort or soothing in by saying, oh, but that's what is. That's not anything either. It won't be known then as a thing apart as what is, that what is over there and it's, oh, there's just what is.
Yeah, thanks, Frank.
Okay, thank you. Would you say then that nobody knows there's no one, but that is just obvious there's no one because there just is no one. There's just no one. It's not like even that you can't go around saying, oh, it's seen. It is seen there's no one, or this is obvious. It's just, even actually, all that appears is just the words, there is no one. That's just what's been said then. But you see, by saying there is no one or there is no self, almost it's an impossibility because you give life to that which is not there. And then you say that it's not there, but you've already given life to it. You know, so then all that appears to be said then is that there is no one. That's what, you know, what comes out of this mouth. But you see, that's not a known thing. Nothing is knowable. And it's totally and utterly like, if it was something that could be explained, for example, or something that could be known, then you could go around, you could even have a 6-week course on how to dismantle the self. So in week 1 and then week 6, you will know there's no self. Great. You know. And you see, it's not about sentences like there is no self. It's not saying sentences and whatever means absolutely nothing. It's in a way, you see, that's why, you know, this is absolutely nothing to do with words. And it's more just in the flavoring of this, or the, you know, some might say energy, but in the izziness of something like this, where it sort of becomes apparent that nothing is being described, sort of becomes apparent, felt that way. But you see, it's not like you can suddenly go around and start, like, seeking is fully, wholly and completely seeking. Just what it appears to be. Seeking won't be known then as anything. It's just seeking. And then suddenly we could say seeking appears to stop. Maybe that's the most that can be said. But then it's not like anything changes. So.
Frank, this is not about, hey, that this is not about words, but what if there would be just one word? Which one would you use? That unknown or no one or
No word.
no
This is
word?
the name. This is the wordless. This is the nameless.
Nameless or wordless or no word?
Oh, I have to
There's-
pick one. I have to pick one. You
Yeah,
want me to
one.
put? You want me to put the house on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Which one would it be? That. Okay.
no, that.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah,
Now.
you got it.
Yeah, I
You
have
got
it. Thank
you have
you.
it. Hold it.
I
Hold
have
it.
it. Yes,
Oh, you
it's here.
dropped it.
It's here. It's
God,
here.
No, you hold it. There. Oh, yes. Woo. You got it. It's over. Oh, you dropped
Okay.
it. You dropped
Bye.
it. See ya.
I'm back. I lost it
Oh,
now.
what are you going to do, eh?
I have to start again from
Yeah.
the beginning.
You just try harder now the next time, really.
Okay,
That's,
but
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Try
was
harder,
really,
Mika.
it was really close this time, but
No. You were really close. Yeah, I think I could feel that, but just think, work a little bit harder the next time now. Really, really focus and
yeah,
and then just let go and surrender.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but
Mm.
I still have to work.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Good luck with that now. See how you get on with that. There's absolutely nothing to hold on to. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, including there's absolutely nothing to hold on to. Can't hold on to that either. I mean, it can be the case, but no safe ground, nothing knowable. Yeah. But there is no one, though. So then there's just what appears to happen.
Hi, Frank.
Hey,
So there's a, I mean, I was reflecting on it, but there is still a difference, right? There is a feeling here that there is someone, correct? And
well,
and many
that's what's
people,
being described there. Then, yeah, if this what's being described is feeling like a whatever there, then that's what's being described and felt. But I mean, there's no one to validate that.
well, I think it's more than that. I think it's most people have that.
Right.
And so what I was trying to say earlier, I mean, there is an apparent difference from
Mm.
feeling like a person and not feeling like a person.
Right.
So
So
there is,
that's what's felt and thought there. Then, okay.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like, I would say 99.9% of the so-called people on this planet feel that.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is there is an apparent change or some, whatever you call it, shift or something dissolving or something perception changing or suddenly that apparent person disappearing.
Okay. So that's if that's what's felt and wondered about there, or then that is how it is. From this perspective here, there's just what is, and however that is then, and whatever has been said, whatever is felt, described, but nothing will be validated. Here, there's plenty of places that you can go and show your individuality.
Oh, no, I'm not
And
looking for validation. I'm just saying is that there is an apparent change that happens.
well, what you could say is that there was what is in this instance here, you could say there was what is as seeking, as making podcasts, as sharing about this documentaries, and a sort of a passion for this communication. And then suddenly there it's sharing and talking and responding to questions about it. But it's also just this isness, or this just what's appearing, just what is, and that there is just nobody was seeking, so nobody's asking that question there. And in a way, I know what you're asking, but the response really seems to be the response. I know what in a way you're seeing a difference, or you feel there's a difference, but that's how it's felt. Here, I don't see someone in there, and I don't see someone in that can fall away. I don't see anyone, but there are, somebody's saying, oh, well, I do feel like a person, and I am this and I am that, and okay, but that's what's being said then. So there's just what is, and there's just this isiness, and in that it appears like, oh, feeling definitely like a person, okay, feeling not like a person, if that's what's been described, in a way, really, this is a total cluelessness about even what cluelessness is. So, like I used to say, yeah, but there's no one, there's a subtle difference, and to people in the interviews and things like that, because there was perhaps lost in the image of if somebody's saying there's no self, they must know that. They must know. Why would somebody say something like this unless they know it? But really, this is so utterly and completely beyond knowing, and that now there just seems to be the saying of there is no one, there is no self. That seems to be what's said, but that's not a known thing, and that's why it's utterly unimaginable, utterly beyond understanding. It's already but it'll never be understood. It'll never be had. It'll never be something then that can be known ever. So all there is then is just clinging to the idea that there's subtle differences and that somehow then it'll be known that there's no one. But we're back in the game then of havings, of someone that can have and someone that can hold on to and knows. So really then at the very core of what this is saying here is that nothing is known. And by naming and saying all there is what's appearing to happen, that's not known. It's just a sentence being said. And if also it might be said, well, there's just breathing, sitting on a chair, feelings, thoughts. They're not things apart. They're just words for this. There is nothing apart, or there's just then simply, totally, without the story, hearing, and even without that, then inexplicable, where inexplicable is inexplicable. So apparently, it seems like if you were to tell a story, you could say the best story you can tell then is there's what is that appeared as asking questions, and then there's what is as responding. But you could travel 1,000,000 miles and climb 1,000 mountains and read a gazillion encyclopedias, but you wouldn't know how to seek, and yet seeking can be what appears to happen.
Yeah, I can sense what you're saying. You know, I just thought of that. It was so funny. The questions I'm asking right now are the questions that you asked these other speakers early on, you know, when you
And you're
were.
not asking, amazingly, you're not asking that question, and I'm not responding. There's just asking a question and just responding. Just asking that somehow, boom. And there'd be thoughts of, I'm going to ask this, and then it's just, and then just response. And so then, what can be said? What can be said? Well, whatever appears to be being said.
What is the response to the word frustration?
Frustration is wholly and completely what it appears to be, frustration. Not good, not bad, just wholly what it appears to be. Not you and, just that.
So the sense of being a self is also what's happening, and there's nobody doing it. That's what you're saying.
Well, if what's being described is a sense of self, then that is what's being described. And that's just happening. Just that then. Actually, how does anyone, I mean, do being a self or not being a self? How does anyone do anything? You can tell a great story about it, but the story is just being told. So there's just what is, and if what is, oh, I feel like a person, right? Okay. That's what it is then.
So, Tony and most of the others, they say that there's a contraction that happens when you're a baby, and that results in the sense of being a self. You still feel from there, from your, so-called your position, do you think you still feel that is the case?
So you see, there's stories being told, and then it's like as if then that's what's real and that's what's noble. It would seem like suddenly there's just something happening, and it can be known as something happening apart through words being used. So I am here, you're over there, and I know the world. And that is a happening, what's felt and described. And somehow then that can become a solid, like the world almost through the knowing of the world, it becomes both a comfort and a prison. And the more that it's known, almost the tighter the prison you could describe the prison of knowing becomes. And at the same time, this comfort grips tight, holds in, let's tell a story, and that can become sort of a prison of knowing, and then a yearning for something other than all that's known, and yet at the same time wanting to hold on to that to know the world still, because then how that continues to almost feed upon itself, and that everything then is gathered in. I gather in so I can know more about the world, keep it safe, and I know this, I know that, and I can navigate through the whole thing through knowings and understandings, and then everything is attained, and it's like almost trying to eat the world through knowings. And all the while it's a sort of dissatisfying all this knowledge, and then somehow then stumbling upon something like non-duality appears to happen, let's just say. And if it's an uncompromising message, then it's obvious that nothing is offered. And that's kind of mind-breaking, because that which is used to acquiring, used to gaining, is not being given anything, not being fed. And yet at the same time keeps coming back going, but there must be. And it's almost then that the prison of knowing and the comfort of knowing, I don't know, you could tell a million stories about that, but there's a push and pull. And then but you see, there's another way of describing the story. So this idea of contraction, expansion, contraction and expansion. This is contraction as hearing. And it's just another story. And all then the story maker loves is to be able to navigate through the world and know then, I'll know then that there's a contraction, and then someday there'll be an expansion back into everything, and I'll be whole and complete then. That's what the knower and the muncher of words and knowledge is hoping for. And then all the while, this communication just seems to return to the immediacy, suddenness, inescapable intimacy of just that. There's just that then, just that isness, just that happening, inexplicable, no words, no anything, and it won't be known in any way, shape or form. That even the seeking, Seeking won't know its own attempt to seek. There's just that appearing to happen.
Very interesting description, Frank. So to you, contraction is the knowing, or the attempt to be always possessing knowledge or understanding.
Well, contraction, I suppose, it's contracted as things, and as here, I mean, what can be described as a physical felt feeling of being here and the world is out there. And if that's what's been felt and described as the real, then that's what's been felt and described as the real. But again, it won't be validated. It's just another story. Contraction's another story. It's not like something can stand apart and go, well, this is contraction or this is expansion. It's contraction and expansion. It's everything and nothing, or nothing. No words, because what were we talking about? Sitting, hearing, breathing. And what the story maker wants is just to make sense of it, to tell a story about it, to make it knowable. This is totally and utterly unknowable and beyond understanding and beyond the mind, beyond the arising attempt to make a story of it, and yet is as the arising attempt to make a story out of it. It's this, inescapably that, inescapably the voice talking there and the questions and the wondering. It's that. Till suddenly the hearing of a voice. And won't be held on to.
Another story that is sometimes heard is that in deep sleep, there is no one. Like every night you go to sleep and then there is no one, and then you wake up and then there is someone. And when you are liberated, there is only no one.
Yeah, there's already no one.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
Yes, but you are liberated.
Oh, hold tight to that, Mika. Hold tight. Yeah. Frank's liberated. Which part? The toenails? The eyes? Which part is liberated? The whole lot?
I think in me it goes to this part, but I see in you it has went all up. So whole part. I'm only liberated to this far, but you are liberated to.
Show me again. How far? This far. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the whole, like.
Oh, there's levels. There's levels of liberation. Okay, let's get back in that. Yeah. There's echelons. Yeah, hierarchies. The most of the most liberated of them all.
Yeah, when the crown chakra is shining, then it's the complete liberation become true.
Yeah. Yeah, no one gets liberated. There is no one. So there's just a bunch of words being spoken and nothing real is being said, including these words being spoken. It just sounds, yeah, just the words aren't the real. They're just words or sounds. Yeah. But in a way, you could also say that in something like this, that really it's as words, beyond the words, or it's in the flavoring. If it was about sentences like there is no self, or there's just what's appearing to happen, or whatever, if it was about those few sentences, then it would then be about something that could be knowable as that. Whereas this is more, you could say, it's in the flavoring, and the words can be mimicked, but the flavoring can't. The energy can't. And that doesn't make it special. It just means that nothing then is being described no one has been spoken to. So, and then that's not a noble thing. You see, really what the return then is to just the inescapable intimacy, immediacy of just this, of whatever is being thought, whatever is being felt, and whatever is being described. So there's nothing, useful in knowing that that there's just a bunch of words or whatever. But I suppose when nothing is being explained, the rigor and structure and heaviness that words sometimes bring cannot be there, let's just say, and that then it's just words and sounds without anything being imparted or described. And that's a lot of words. What's wonderful and perhaps horrible is that there's no place to hang your hat, no kind of noble thing then that makes it all, that, that it can be cornered off. But that also is the utter, relief that it's not about anything at all. It just appears as everything, and including seeking for it and feeling apart, but there is no then feeling at one. There's no one that can go around going, God, I feel at one with the universe. There isn't an I, a universe, or a one. Yeah, it can be wonderful and apparently horrible at the same time, but if it was about a few sentences and knowing that words are useless or knowing anything, then we'd be back in the game of it being a certain thing. It's fully alive as whatever is, fully falling through as senses, as whatever being asked, thought, felt, everything. So I suppose there can be the sense that there's no anchor, there's no safe ground. But if there was someone, that would be utterly terrifying. But there is no one. Perhaps fear can be something that is described and felt, but it won't be anyone's fear. There isn't anyone doing anything. There's no one inside the tree, and there's no one behind the eyes there. There's no one hearing, just hearing, or what can be named as that. And almost, yeah, what is sought and is also repellent is, the world being noble and known becomes the prison, and it can be adorned with whatever, but it's still a prison of knowing. And even if it's, oh, I know that I know nothing. Oh, right. Well, good luck with that for a few minutes.
Hi, Frank.
Hiya.
Could you say something about when I hear this message, it sounds really boundless. There's no boundaries anywhere. And when you have the feeling or a sense to be a person, there's a feeling of a center. There's a center. I could not define where it is, but somehow it's a point of view, a point of reference point, more or less. And hearing this message, it's quite illusionary. There's no center there. But how is it for you, Frank, for this apparent person? When there's no center, when there's no location there anymore.
Well, you see, there never was a center.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just this isness. If the, you know, it's like kind of, you know, the boundless won't be held by a word called the boundless, nor known as the boundless. It's just a word, and then when the word boundless is heard, there's an imagination of that, or there's perhaps experiences or whatever of, well, that's what the boundless is. But the boundless is everything. This is the boundless, but it won't be known then. It's only ideas of what this is and should be, could be, would be, or whatever that seem to happen. That then, you know, this is, but also you can say there is what is and what's being felt and described. And so if it's felt and described that, you know, there's sort of a feeling of being in there and looking out onto the world, and then that's what is then. But, you know, from this perspective here, there isn't anyone saying that. It's just what's being felt and described. And if it's seen to be the real, then it's seen to be the real. But, you know, who's going to validate anything? It's all just a story then. But it can be felt to be the way it is. But almost sometimes what I've noticed is that it's kind of asked in a question. It's kind of, it's, you know, there's kind of a, well, you know, I do feel like a person. So I am here. Okay. Then, well, that's what it is then. And, you know, then beyond all the words there's no reason for anyone to be coming to something like this. There's just coming to something like this. And that's the resonance, because really there's just, you know, beyond the words, beyond the language used, beyond all that crap, all the ideas and images and intellectual meanderings and whatever of what it could be, should be, needs to be, holding on to a thing called the boundless. And it's what's left, just sitting, breathing, feeling, and but till no but, and then, and no word then captures this. And so then, you know, there isn't anything for me. There isn't any kind of experience for me. There's nothing for me. There's just then words being spoken, sounds coming out, and whatever is felt, described. And actually it's the exact same there. There's just also perhaps an image or an overlay of, well, but that's also just a happening.
Yeah. That's really strange, because it's also logical that there is no center there. This body is more or less come together of parts. Where is there a center? There couldn't be any center in here, but somehow it apparently feels like that. I'm looking from here, from this perspective, from this point of view, but it's completely illusory. Somehow it's logical, more or less, that there's no center there, but it feels a little bit different, or it feels different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So what you're saying, like, if there's feelings, if there's a felt feeling of being in there, then that's what is, or what's being described. Okay. After that, then, when it say that's not there, let's just say, then, well, what's left? Well, whatever appears to happen. including speaking, feelings, uh, whatever. It's just happening. So seeking is just happening, then seeking, perhaps stopping, is just happening, but nothing brings that about. You know, it's just, if there's already no one in there doing anything, including the sensing feeling that, well, I am here now, hold on now, that's just happening. From this perspective, well, that's what is then. That's this isiness, this inexplicableness that can't be known. So, you know, it's not like sensations in the body don't happen. They're just energies in the body, let's just say, or that's what, you know, you can name it as that. Or it can be named like that, energies in the body or whatever else.
Yeah. And there's no one experiencing that anymore. It could be an end of experiencing that it's my mind, it's my body, it's my sensations that fall off, probably, or not.
Well, you see, again, it's just wanting something to happen, and in a way that can be then lost in the image of a someone that is a no one. That's, you know, and that's another kind of image then of there must be something to gain. And really then all this seems to be said then that there is already no one in there that can acquire. There's just seeking. There'd have to be someone in there that knew how to seek and then could stop seeking, or somebody in there that could acquire. And from this perspective, it seems to be that it's just lost in images then, a physicality of being lost in images of what this could be, would be, should be. And then for the most part, we hear about experiences, and essentially it's kind of, I want that too. And then even when nothing then is offered, really that seeking wants to know nothing. I want the nothing you're talking about. I want that, but it's nothing. And so that's, you could say it's almost, it's being exposed for just seeking then, just this sort of dis-ease that is just happening, and the questions there are just happening. And there might be protestations about feeling like a person and that you are a self and whatever else. Okay, then that's what's being described and felt here. That's not going to be validated because I don't even know what a piece of dirt is. So I won't be able to help you with yourself or your no self either. To me, then again, that's just more lost in images of life than without a self. But there's no self. No one in there asking that question.
So the boundless is not an experience. The boundless
this is the boundless.
This is already boundless, yeah.
This is the boundless, yeah. Appearing as wondering about the boundless. This is the boundless. And then beyond the words and stories and learned ideas and images and all that, what can be said? Nothing.
Yeah, thank you.
And in a way, you know, that's probably why the communications, when they're uncompromising, are minimal in the language used, minimal in pinging the mind down rabbit holes. I'm being attacked here by my two dogs. Yeah. So then what is this? You know, what is this? What's happening? Well, it's the inescapable hearing of what is this happening? Just happening. No one awakens. I don't really care about knowing anything, just want the seeking to stop. Yeah. That's how it is then. So all there is wanting, seeking to stop then. Just happening. Seeking is wholly, completely, and fully seeking. And even the idea of wanting, seeking to stop is a sort of a seeking, you could say. But you're not doing that or not doing it. There's just that. And then every reaction thereafter, every feeling, every sense, what you mean? But, not but, oh, that's great, that's not great, holy fuck, whatever, would be this as that. Yeah, it's shit. Yeah. It's shit, yeah. Or just what it appears to be. You won't get closer or further away from that. There's just that, not you and then it won't be known. Seeking is human being until it isn't. Yeah. Or just what it appears to be. But I like human being. It's like mean or meaning. Somebody said that once. The meaning maker.
It is also like human being, not like human doing.
Yeah. There's just wholly contained what is unknowable. You could play with the word or with the idea that it's rip-roaringly alone because there is no other. Rip-roaringly alone, but it's no one's aloneness. And absolutely nothing at all. You could say it's total play also. In fact, anything can appear to be said and it won't be closer or further away. It's just what appears to be being said, then heard, and whatever responses ignite on the back of it or not. Makes absolutely no difference. In a way, it's totally purposelessness, but that's not a purpose either. So then it is as seeking. It is as everything. And you see, the danger or the idea is then is that when there's meetings like this, it can appear like, oh well, then he's found, because why would he grab his bloody microphone and start rabbiting off? But this is just what's happening. Just, we'll call it a gathering, but there's no authority about nothing. There's no authority about this isness. There's a total cluelessness about this. And in actual fact, that's completely there. It's almost, this is childlike wonder as seeking for childlike wonder. Or this is nothing as seeking, or it's just nothing. Maybe a quick cuppa or a quick break. How does everybody feel about that? A good idea? Okay, so maybe like 10, 15 minutes? Around 10 to